My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for High Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at High Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. High Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
Cars are on track lining up behind the Zagami Autosport McLaren of Melbourne 570S. What a magnificent looking car. Michael Parker, our safety car driver, right across the 2017 Shannons Nationals season. And here's how the grid looks for this race. It'll be Kim Burke to Michael Shaw, Ollie Smith, Peter Padden in the number 1 car, and Greg Kenny in the 56, Rowan Ross in the 88 out of 6th position on the grid. His father and son of Brad and Michael Nielsen that will come through. Mitch Nielsen in the 38. Chris Medlin, after a tired run yesterday, out of position number 8. Sue Hughes taking up position number 9. Position number 10 will be Phil Antsline and Greg Smith rounding out the field. I do believe that Greg won't be joining us for the race today, so on the grid sheet, but pretty sure he's not going to make it onto track. So he'll take no further part. Peter Clare, who blew an engine earlier on in the weekend. And we are underway. And it's the 68 that gets the good run down there, but it's the 86 that comes storming on through. Ollie Smith, but Michael Shaw gets pushed wide, goes through that cement dust, which has had another load put on, and that's going to spray up into the eyes of the drivers behind him. Not ideal, but will stream on through to lead them in turn 2 and go very, very wide. Thank goodness for the hard stand off the back of turn 2 there, and off the track he goes into turn 3 as well. So he is very, very ragged at the wheel, is Michael Shaw, and a spin, and that's Michael Shaw. So he has been absolutely jagging at the wheel all the way from turn 1 down to turn 3 and spins around. So car number 2 will go backwards as he comes down to turn 4, and he's going to be the tail end Charlie on the field here, but leading the way is Ollie Smith. This is exactly what Ollie Smith needs. He's been leading his way up in his time with the Radical Australia Cup to this season, and really put a big red line under this season to come away with the outright championship. Kim Burke off. So early on, charged down into turn 1, and Kim Burke has gone down off the track as well, and we've got a safety car being dispatched. So we'll see the Melbourne McLaren Zagami Autosport safety car, the Shannons Insurance safety car, head out on the track. So the race will be nullified very, very early on indeed. Kim Burke looks as though he's got more of the kitty litter on the side pod of the number 68, and it is well and truly beached as, bro. So an absolute frantic first lap there, where we saw Michael Smith, race winner already this season in car number 2, have a very, very ragged run from turn 1 through to 3 and eventually spun at the exit of 3. Ollie Smith out in front, and now this is when the crews back in the pits will really start to coach the drivers along to keep their concentration up, harness the adrenaline that they've experienced over the last few minutes or so as the start of this race took place. So it'll be line astern of each other here. This is not a side-by-side race start. This is a safety car restart, and he's doing a very good job of holding a pace. He obviously wants to restart this race from a low pace, and he's just trickling down the straight. The green flag's waved, so it's his onerous now to go when he wants to. He has to go before he gets to the control line, but the 86 controls the field. And let's see, he's gone for it now, and it's been a good start there. He's got himself a good 3 car lengths over car number 1, and he's going to need every millimetre of that over Peter Padden, who has been multiple champion of this category and has been rapid throughout 2017.
Yeah, he certainly has, Peter Padden, and it's his championship to lose, one might think. Having said that, though, Ollie Smith right up there in the championship stakes. If we have a look at the points as they stand for the outright class, Peter Padden on 197, Ollie Smith on 186. Peter Padden has 3 more points than Ollie this weekend, so that sort of goes out now to, 11, 14 point gap.
Michael Shaw charging, Specs charging there. He's coming through from the back of the field. He's already got Sue Hughes. He's already got Kenny's up to Chris Medlin, one of the more experienced racers out there as well. So
he was
Michael
ninth on the
Smith
restart.
fighting hard back. Yeah.
He was ninth in the restart, worked his way up to 7th now, and Chris Medlin right in his sights as well. So expect Michael Shaw to be up towards the top 3 within the next 4 or 5 laps the way he's driving at the moment.
In real terms, these two on screen, Ollie Smith and Peter Padden, reverse them. That's how they are in the championship. So Ollie Smith needs to really drive away so that he can get himself a nice comfort barrier, because they will be coming in. Oh, mid-corner understeer there for the 86, the SR3 SRX of Ollie Smith. That is not confidence-inspiring stuff when you turn the wheel and you give it another jab and nothing responds and you're just sailing off the track there. So he'll have had a real heart-in-the-mouth moment right then.
Especially on such a long turn as well, Darren. You're just trying to go left, trying, and it ain't responding.
The good thing, though, is he didn't lose a lot of entry speed to the straight. Normally, if you mess up the turn-in up the top of the hill at the top complex of 11 and 12, it's actually 3 dips at that corner. If he had to come onto the straight with a lack of pace, the number 1 would have just hunted him down. But he did manage to get the thing straightened up and pointed in the right direction to come down the long main straight here at Sydney Motorsport Park. There's Rowan Ross in the 88. Now, he has had, so far in season 2017, a year to forget. Currently running 5th on the road, and this will be his best result. And they've just had gremlin after gremlin in this car. Joe Ladoni, one of the more experienced sports car mechanics going around the country, runs Joe's Garage, believe it or not, out of Moorabbin in Melbourne. Great bloke. He's worked very, very hard to get that car to where it is right now. It's just something not quite right with that car that they've been working very, very hard to get it back up to race pace.
Up the inside, Medlin looking there at Nielsen, couldn't take it. Maybe an opportunity again for him coming up short. This is a good battle. You know what I love about this racing is that you know the guy in front of that pack. Well, we've got one coming in now. It is Ollie Smith. Gee whiz, I reckon Peter Padden thought about it,
didn't he?
but I don't know if his team might have been ready for him. So Ollie Smith has made that early move, and he has come in. That was nearly dangerous there for Peter Padden, because he was drawn in to pit lane by Ollie Smith, whether his eyes were that focused on the car that he was just following it, and then all of a sudden thought, hang on, I don't want to do this, and then pulled out.
Yeah, it certainly was. Now, this is probably, he's going to probably have to run the different strategy here. Now, clear air out in front, no one behind him to hound him, unless Peter Padden loses concentration, which we don't see that from Peter Padden. I don't even know why I brought that up, but unless he does lose concentration, he now has to just give the next 10 laps everything he's got to establish the fact that when they come out and they've both done their pit stop, he'll have a handy lead.
So what we really saw there, Darren, and you've raced yourself, you know all about it, is we actually saw the inside of what a driver is thinking of and looking at when he's racing the car, if he's running second with the car in front of him. So you're actually looking at the other car and you're waiting and you're looking, aren't you, to what that other car's going to do before making your decision, and that was a perfect example of him watching.
I think it says it on the side of car 1, first focus.
Yeah.
He's got focused on the car in front of him. That was where he was concentrating. The other reason why he followed over was to follow that hole in the air as well. Yep. So try and use that for as much as you possibly can. I dare say going from extreme right to extreme left, he probably covered a little bit too much real estate, so the advantage might have been 0.1 of a second or something like that. Let's have a look at his lap time this time round, because last lap round, he did his personal best, last sector, and he's done the fastest lap of the race, in fact, for Peter Padden. So he's responded to that challenge. Yeah. Get out there and run away from him now, Peter Padden. He knows that. You don't get car 1 for 3 years on the side of your car for nothing. He doesn't need to be told that.
So what does the strategy become now for Peter Padden? Does it stay out there and just keep clocking in these good laps while you've got the opportunity, or do you go in early and hope? Because if the longer you stay out, the more chance there is as a safety car, and then the more chance that can be of disrupting the lead that you've got. So it really is something that the guys back in the pit lane will be trying to work out hard for him.
This is the thing we've got to look at and analyse the timesheets at the moment. Ollie Smith is 1.1 laps behind. I would say already Peter Padden's fairly safe to come to the lane and would pop out in front. We are looking to go to a break here at Sydney Motorsport Park for round 4 of the Shannons Nationals. We'll be back with more in just a few moments. Welcome back trackside here at Sydney Motorsport Park for round 4 of the Shannons Nationals. Looks like Peter Padden is coming to the lane. Just saw a flash of white. Yes, it is car 1
Yep.
in pit lane. Currently looking at the cars competing on the road for positions 9 and 10.
Well, actually, it's a little bit tricky, that one, because Phil Anseline is the front car at 16, but behind him is Greg Kenny, who's currently sitting in 3rd place.
Yep.
So a little bit.
It's a bit disillusioned.
Yeah,
isn't
it is.
The one's done the pit stop, the other hasn't.
Exactly.
The pit window remains open now until
Fastest lap of the race to
go.
Ollie Smith now, so he's responded to Peter Patton's time of 1:29.93, the first into the 1:29s now for Ollie Smith. Still a long way to go to get that race lap record, though.
Oh, no.
Pushed it too hard.
That's Ollie Smith in the 86, and that will be a retirement. He's definitely getting, and he's climbing out.
Could be a safety car too, I would have thought.
That's exiting a turn 3. Yeah, you would suggest that Ollie Smith needs to get himself out of the car and to the first line of defence, generally over the nearest tyre barrier. And well, we've seen 3 cars off at turn 3 in this Radical Australia Cup race. It's an interesting turn of events that they're going off there. It's seldom a place that you see cars spearing off. Here comes the number 9 of Chris Medlin, who is actually weighing back into this race, done the pit stop.
A 1:26, or so 1 minute 27 pit stop for Peter Patton. That's pretty quick, I would have thought, with your compulsory 60 seconds stopped.
Mitch Delson on debut in the Radical Australia Cup, now leading race number 2 for the weekend, albeit there's a pit stop still to come, but certainly take a photo of the timing screen if the family's around the track there, because you can say, yep, look at me, I'm in P1, doing well.
If a safety car does come out, which it doesn't look like it is at the moment, but that may still happen, Peter Patton will lead the race once these 3 cars remaining come in for their pit stop, and Michael Shaw will be right behind him. At the moment, there's a 15-second gap between Peter Patton and Michael Shaw, but as I said, if a safety car does come out, it's going to be nice and tight, and we're going to have a good little finish to this race.
Got to applaud our clerk, of course, and his trust in his officials around the track here today, because there's not a lot of clerk of courses that will let the race run and cover the section with yellow flags, and it looks like he did that at turn 3 early on in the race for the Kim Burke car. He's putting full faith in his recovery crew to get the job done safely, and of course the flag marshals are the ones that wave the yellow flags, and that's effectively the safety cover that you get when you go trackside. And Steve Priest, really good. Got to applaud that decision by Steve to keep the race essentially at 90% of the lap under full race green, cover the recovery area. So exit of 2 sort of around to 4 will be covered by yellows, and get that recovery done.
So Sue Hughes, the last of our cars, to make her way into pit lane with 18 minutes to go of the 50-minute race for the 2017 Radical Australia Cup. Race 2 of the weekend, round 4.
Gee, Rowan Ross has got the battle pack lining up behind him now. He's got Medlin and Anseline. In fact, these guys, 3 veterans of Radical Australia Cup racing, and they're all lining up to have a crack at Rowan Ross. He's got the newer car as well, the SR3 RSX. As we see the Anseline coming through on Medlin, side by side, drives through, dips it into turn 1, and that's for place in this race. That's for P5 on the road. You'd have to suggest, with the gap between Rowan Ross and now Phil Anseline, 0.8 back to Chris Medlin, 0.4. This is actually going to be the battle of the race. This is for the last step on the podium in this race as well. So Peter Patton looks pretty clear with a 14.51 second lead over Michael Shaw. And I'm pretty sure if Patton knew that Shaw was behind him, he'd say, oh, gee, I wish it wasn't him. I prefer it to be someone else. Michael Shaw's won a race this year. He's going to come at me right to the very end. Patton has eased that gap out another 1.5 seconds over the last 2 laps in the Radical Australia Cup race. All outright races here this weekend. Of course, the Radicals also race in the State Series in the Super Sport category, and that is mixed up of all of these prototype sort of sports cars, as the name suggests. Anseline through now. He goes through on Rowan Ross. Rowan Ross says, no, I'm going to push you wide here, buddy. We're going to go side by side. And Rowan Ross, plagued with dramas in earlier rounds this year, will run wide. He's ultimately going to be too wide in this corner. He stay with it. Probably just back out of it and try and get the better run onto the straight, as Phil Anseline in the number 16 is very, very strong since his pit stop. So adjusted tyre pressures on that car. May have started with pressures too high. They grabbed a pinch of air out of all 4 tyres, and the number 16 now is the 3rd spot on the podium. Big gap between Ancelon and Shaw, though. It's some 40 seconds up the road there. The gap between...
Whoa, bit of a spin.
And there's Ancelon around.
Yeah.
So that's a real shame.
Seriously, nearly took out Rowan Ross as well.
Yeah, almost a 0 to 0, mate. That one right there. And it's got debris hanging off the back of it, actually. I'm not sure what that is. A bit of... Oh, yeah, he's got the rear clips flapping around on that car, the rear clamshell.
It doesn't help.
So I wonder if he's went round and hit the ripper strip. And that's just... Oh, the rear wing on Rowan Ross's car's buckled up. Because that will...
Here we go, let's look at this.
This is a big run down. Very tight into the corner. He went round. Yep, here it is. There's the clip. Went back.
Gotcha. Right there at the back.
Wow, ever such a slight glance, isn't it? Rear wings are fantastic in the plane that they're supposed to be used in. Any other way, they're just fragile pieces of aluminium hanging off the back of your racing cars. So this really does change the complexity of this race, because Rowan Ross is going to have to come in.
Well, is he 12 minutes to go?
Maybe
I mean, he's currently
out.
sitting in 4th spot at the moment, and he's really only 3 seconds behind Chris Medlin. So a podium opportunity on the go if he stays out. If he comes in, there's no podium at all.
Yeah, it's nothing
you
loose
just
there,
ride a rough,
isn't
don't you?
It looks to be secure, so there's no danger that it's going to come off there at all.
I mean, I'm chipping the heroes up.
It'll be ugly.
Yes.
It'll be ugly.
He'll know he's driving a car.
Yeah. He'll be, in fact, going down the straight, he'll be having some lock-on to try and keep the car in a bit of a straight line, so it's going to screw up the Dunlops out as well. Phil Anseline's in.
Yeah.
Number 16, he's come to the lane.
And I think they might be taking this car out of the race as the hands of the mechanics go onto the car and they push it forward and now push it back. So Phil Anseline out of the race as well. 17-second gap between him and second place Michael Shaw, and up the inside Sue Hughes on Rowan Ross. Nice move. She moves to 4th place.
Andrew Rule in pit lane following all the stories.
Phil, disappointing into the race. What happened?
Yeah, very disappointing. After a bad pit stop, I dropped a couple of spots. I'd managed to pick up Chris Medlin and then overtake the other car in front of that. Coming into turn 2 after putting my head down to try to stretch the gap a bit, overcooked it in turn, rotated it, and was picked up in the rear. Purely my error, all my error. But yeah, disappointing.
So, unfortunately,
disappointing.
Number 16 taking no further part here today, but we'll see him back. Phil Anseline been doing this for quite some time now, and let's hope he comes back in the number 16 as well. Here we have the first focus car of Peter Patton. Looks set with 8 minutes to go for another victory, as Andrew Rawls has got further stories in the lane.
And with Tim Macro, and Tim, your protege, Sue, she's doing sensational out there.
She's doing a fantastic job. She's driven really well this weekend. She got P6 in the first race. She's P4 now, so we're not far away from a podium, so I'm getting her to push on, and you never know what will happen.
She came in the lead. It was a very late pit stop, went out in 6th. Is that going to come back to bite her? No,
it was a really good thing in the end, because she really pushed on in those laps. She was caught behind a couple of cars and she jumped them, so that's how we got to 4th. So less time at the end on her tyres, so we re-pressured them and she's good to go.
Great to catch up with Tim Macro down there in the Pro Lap garage, and of course he's cheering on his charge in the number 32. There she is, Sue Hughes, coming in 4th position, and I'm going to suggest in Radical Australia Cup trim, this is Sue's highest finish in a race.
Fantastic. If it is, it's been a great effort by her. She is 14 seconds now off Chris Medlin, who's currently in 3rd place, so you'd probably need something to happen, one would think, to one of those top 3 cars for Sue to get on the podium with only 6 minutes to go and making up the 14 seconds. But regardless of that, it has just been a fully focused drive by her first drive in Radicals for the year. So one would think that she might get the itch.
Yeah, I'm not sure that she'd be loading it on the container to go to...
Let's not forget too, she's been doing double duties as well, so it's not just the Radicals, but she's also been doing the prototype series as well.
So here's Rowan Ross continuing with that broken rear wing. He's now dropped down to 7th place, was contending on a podium result there. Came together with the number 16 of Phil Anseline and pretty much put paid to Phil's entire race. And then Rowan Ross as well. There was no no malice. The contact, as we saw Phil admit, said all on my own, did it myself. Unfortunately, Rowan got tangled up in my own spin, and that's really put paid to his run. Looking forward to a good run for Rowan Ross here in this race, because he's had a 2017 that he'd probably rather not refer back to as his best season in motorsport, and is now sitting back there in position number 7 in the 88. Peter Padden continues to lead with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in this race to Michael Shaw, Chris Medlin, Sue Hughes, Brad Nielsen on debut here this weekend with Mitch Nielsen, and then it is Greg Kenny, Rowan Ross and Kim Burke, our contenders left in this race.
We should go back to the Radical Australia Cup outright championship points now, and this is going to be a big break for Peter Padden. He was 11 points in front before this weekend. Heading now into the end of this race too, he will pick up 42 points over Ollie Smith. He'll go, actually, no, I changed that, sorry, 39 points. I was looking at Phil Anseline. 39 points will be the extra gap, so 39-11 makes a total of 50 points that'll need to be made up heading into the last round for this championship at Shannons Motorsport Park on the weekend of the 11th of November. So,
oh no, Michael Smith. He's parking it up in the veritable car yard down there as he parks it up next to Michael Shaw, sorry, next to Ollie Smith. So there's 2 cars parked up, and you can see there's actually a good difference between the two different sorts of...
did I just say a lap and a half ago that we needed something to happen to one of the top 3 cars for Sue Hughes to get into third?
She's in contention now, isn't she? Moves into the podium spot.
We're going to see a flag very shortly for Peter Padden with 1 and 0 seconds remaining on the clock. So this will be our last lap, and there'll be 3 turns left for Peter Padden as he makes his way down the bottom of the corporate hill and makes his way around to the start-finish line. Peter Padden will easily take out this race. A large margin between him and second place Chris Medlin.
Chris Medlin coming across the line now, so he'll go around for another lap.
And Peter Padden just heading around the top corner. Up here he comes down.
Peter Padden down the straight, comes to the line now. There's car 1, takes position 1 in the second race this weekend for the Radical Australia Cup. Gets to the line with a commanding 1 minute and 22 second lead. And Medlin will be the last remaining car on track as the rest of the field takes a flag. Sue Hughes will take P3 in the race, and congratulations to Sue and the family, and to Timmy Macro and all the crew down there at ProLap that are helping her get faster and faster as each event continues on. Brad and Mitch Nielsen getting home in P4 on debut. Greg Kenny to the line there in position number 5. Rowan Ross in the first of the newer cars, the SR3 RSX, beats home Kim Burke, who didn't actually get to the line. Then Michael Shaw, then it was Ollie Smith and Celine Burke that round out the result.
It was tough fighting with Ollie there. He's was very difficult to get past, and I was trying to get past him in the pits, and it just happened that I had luck again in my favour, and first, second, and third all had issues that put them out of the race. So, what can I say? It was a pretty easy race in the end. Well, it's not the way that I want to win a championship. I had a bit of bad luck. Well, it wasn't bad luck. I drove into a wall basically at Phillip Island. So, we both had a DNF now in the series. But we're just going to have to wait to next round and see what happens. I mean, if either one of us have an issue, then if I have a DNF, then Ollie will be right back in the hunt.
And that wraps up our coverage for the Shannons National Round 4 here at Sydney Motorsport Park. We move up to Queensland Raceway in around about 4 weeks' time, the first weekend of August. We look forward to seeing you there on behalf of the team. Thanks for viewing us today, and we'll catch you again soon.
Stay with us, because after the break we head over to the Mallory Park circuit in the UK for the 5th round of the British Sidecar Championship.